Hello and welcome to We Never Met, the podcast where I have interesting strangers on every single week. I have two strangers on. Not that much. We were kind of talking before. But you guys can introduce yourself and where we are. If you want to go first, yeah.
I'm Charlie Davis.
I'm Katie Morgan, and we are the co-founders of Right Bee Cider, and we are in our tap room.
We are here right now. And we were just talking. It's very nice. I like how
Thank you.
It's sort of halfway, and you can look at the video, but it's like halfway up, and then there's the exposed. Was that intentional, obviously, or would you just?
Yeah, we had, obviously you always have the option to put a drop ceiling in or keep it exposed, and the building has a lot of history. Like I was telling you earlier, it's the old Schwinn bike manufacturing building. So we just thought, why cover up something that's so aesthetically pleasing. So
do people comment on the space when they come in here a lot, or?
Yeah, I think they do, and I make sure to let them know a lot of the features that we think are cool. About the building itself, but also about the tap room.
Yeah.
It's
because you guys do tours, right?
Yeah. Yep, we do, and it's been a labor of love. So Charlie built all the tables, and
you did.
He built the chalkboard, and he built the shelf over there. So much of this was actually done by us, and by us I mean I didn't do any of it, and Charlie did all
supervised?
of it. Yeah, I was an excellent supervisor.
Yeah, that makes it even more impressive, though, that you actually built these tables.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's.
I didn't like cast the metal legs.
You can just say you did.
Yeah.
I did all of it.
Yes.
I got the wood from the trees. Yeah. So the cider company started out as something that you created for you, right? As a gift. Basically, is that how it worked?
Well, I didn't start the business I made her cider as a gift.
Yeah, let's not give him. Let's
this
take
whole
a step back.
Empire is created off of gifts.
Let's not give him so much credit.
Yeah. So, were you always interested in creating cider, or was that just something that you liked? So he was like, "I'm going to impress her with this skill I have."
So my background is in beer brewing. Actually, I was a professional brewer for several years before we started this business. When I met Katie, I had never made a cider before, and I, to be honest, didn't really know that much about cider.
Because how different is cider making than beer making? Is it a completely different process?
Yes.
Yeah, we were finding a lot of the equipment that we use is similar, and so procedurally there's a lot of crossover, which is great. But for lack of a better word, chemically, I guess, the science behind fermenting apples and fermenting beer can be vastly different.
Right.
So,
what makes it so different, chemically wise? I know, is there sugar added in beer, right? Or is there not?
Well,
depends on what you're making.
Yeah, you can add sugar for certain beer styles, but basically beer is you steep grain and you get your wort, or it's the sugar water that you eventually ferment.
Okay.
With cider making, it's closer to white wine making in that we ferment apples instead of grapes. With beer, there's a lot of vitamins and minerals and nutrients in that wort that helps to lead to a healthy fermentation. With cider and white wine making as well, there is only simple sugar in that solution. There aren't these other compounds in there that lead to a healthy fermentation. So it takes a lot more. You have to be a lot more attentive. Attentive.
It's early, folks.
Yeah, it is early.
A lot more attentive to your fermentation to make sure that nothing goes haywire.
Yeah.
It would be bad if you didn't know the answer to that question. Yeah. If I asked you, you're I don't know. I think you just throw some stuff in there and everything turns out fine.
Yeah. After brewing professionally for 8 years and running a cidery for 5.
Yeah. So how did it come about then? So you made a batch of it for her, or is that how it worked?
Yeah. So that's the original cider that he made me for my birthday back in 2011.
2011, yeah.
2011.
Wow.
Long time ago.
Yeah.
So he, like he said, was a brewing beer professionally.
Yeah.
And I I love how beer is made, and I had been am interested in beer, but I was just finding that when I would drink, a lot of it, I didn't particularly feel good. And I spent some time in the UK and had cider there, and had really fun and interesting cider and cider country in the UK when I studied abroad, and I just loved it. Yeah. And I had never had it before, actually.
Oh, really?
No, not at all. I didn't have it in college at all. I didn't know it was even...
You probably would have loved it, You probably would have had better experiences.
I know. Yeah. And so I was lucky to experience it over there.
Yeah.
I came back here and was searching for something similar, and I couldn't find anything similar that was nice and crisp and dry.
Yeah.
A lot of the ciders I was finding here were just too sweet for my taste.
That's still kind of the case with a lot of them too, yeah.
I just couldn't, it just wasn't my cup of tea, I guess.
Right.
So I didn't even know that Charlie was listening to anything I said at the time. But he was, and I had no idea that he had, he was experimenting and coming up with these ideas. And we had mutual friends, and our birthdays are very close together, so we were celebrating together, and he brought out this unmarked bottle, this big unmarked bottle of the cider. And I knew that he had mentioned to me that he had been experimenting with, making cider. And
sure.
I was just so nervous I was going to have to act like I liked it.
That's true. That's a bold move. Were you nervous of that too? Like, what if you gave it to her and she was like,
gross.
This is great. Yeah, this is great.
Yeah, I was pretty confident.
I mean, we were friends. Nothing romantic was happening at the time. We had mutual friends, but I show everything on my face, and I knew that he had gone to great effort and so I just figured it would be too sweet because that's that's the only thing that was available. But it was just perfect. It was perfect. It was nice and crisp and dry and refreshing and not cloyingly sweet or anything like that. And then we started dating, and then I married him.
Wow. How long ago? Just like that.
Yeah.
So there's a lesson for you. Always make cider if you want to woo somebody.
Yep.
Yeah, it works.
But that's the original event.
Right.
That happened, that he was able to make the cider as a gift for me.
Yeah.
And it really, obviously there are other reasons why we started dating and ended up getting married. But,
right, yeah.
But
there has to be.
But it was kind of the beginning of everything.
It was like a spark. It was like a start, a starting point.
That story is obviously special for us. And then when it came to making it into an actual business, there are a number of other things that went into that. I think Charlie can speak to his background and that you always wanted to start your own business and you had these plans anyway. But you can, I won't speak to
Did you have that idea too? Or were you just like, no, I'm just going to do sort of a 9-to-5 thing? Did you want to have a little entrepreneurial?
Oh, yeah. My background is, as we were speaking about before, was nursing, but I was always random. I majored in history in college.
Oh, really?
Which I loved.
Yeah.
I loved history.
Yeah.
So I majored in that in college, and my history focuses were just random and bizarre just because I liked it. And then I went to nursing school, and now I'm in a craft cider business. So nothing makes sense. Over. But I did, to answer your question about the entrepreneurial spirit, my family's like that. My dad has always run his own businesses, and I've seen that, and I've seen the good things, but also how hard it actually is to do that. Right. And so I think that it was always kind of in the back of my mind, but I had never had any idea that it would be craft alcohol. I do think Charlie was much more laser focused in exactly the type of business that he wanted to run.
Sure.
And that was fun to be able to have that in a business partner.
Yeah, because when you were
his experience was top notch.
Right, because when you were in the brewing industry, was that always something that was in the back of your mind? Like, I want to do this by myself, not for someone else.
Yeah. So basically, my first job out of college, I worked at Pabst Brewing Company. I was a
Where are they now? Because they're from Milwaukee, actually.
I think they're headquartered back in Milwaukee.
Okay.
But the last few years have been kind of tumultuous for that company.
Yeah.
They were in the suburbs of Chicago, and I had an internship with them, and obviously the ambition to grow within the company. And probably 8 months into my internship, they let me know that my contract wasn't going to get extended because the company was being sold and moved to LA. Yeah. And so I was like, well, I'm going to start my own brewery.
Yeah.
But then, I have basically a college degree and 6 months of experience in the industry. When I went to actually put pen to paper, I realized I knew nothing. So,
so that's what makes it harder.
Yeah. So, but then I guess there are, different ways to skin that cat, right? You either hire a consultant or hire the right people and start your business, or you learn how to run the business. And the best way I thought to do that was to work in a brewery.
Yeah.
I wanted to start a brewery. So I started mopping the floors and cleaning tanks and, working shifts in a tap room. And then I became a shift brewer, and then I was a head brewer.
He also slept on a mattress in the office and used the brewery hose as a shower.
Did you? For how long?
I will add that detail.
I worked at that brewery for a year. I did that a number of times because I would close the tap room at night, and then the brewer, he ran an early schedule, so he would start brewing at 5:00 in the morning.
Yeah.
So I would just
crash.
Yeah, I just crash on an air mattress in the office for a few hours, and then wake up and
wake up refreshed, and ready for the next day.
Yeah, and it was an hour away from where I was living, so I didn't want to drive.
It's a nightmare.
Add over 2 hours of commute time if I was only going to sleep for 3 hours anyway. I was committed. I wanted to learn, and so I just dove headfirst into it.
So what'd you do after that? After that year-long stint?
So that was in Northwest Indiana, and then I moved back to Chicago, and I worked at a brewery in Chicago for 2 years, and then I was a shift brewer, and then I moved to Columbus, Ohio.
Oh wow!
And I was there for a little over 2 years.
So when did you guys meet then? If you were all over the place, was this after you came back from Columbus?
No. So we have to think about it.
It was when we were in.
We met here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then when Charlie was working for the craft brewery here, and then he got the offer to go to Columbus after I had just moved here, and we'd been dating for a couple months.
That's a tough decision.
And then he moved. And then
so what did you guys do? Did you say you just stayed together?
Yeah, stayed together. And then, but I didn't, he asked me to move.
With another bottle of cider, yes.
And I said, I just moved to Chicago. I'm not going anywhere. I stayed here for about a year. And then I had to move because he proposed.
Oh.
So.
Okay. So you were in Columbus for a year then?
Yeah, just about a year.
And then you guys came back? Yeah. Mm-hmm. For any specific reason, or
I should say I happily moved. Columbus was lovely, but
I was kicking and screaming.
We were just kind of all over the place at the time, and then we moved back because for a number of reasons we were getting married, we were planning a wedding, we were doing all of that, but we also in Columbus is where we decided to do this. Was when we decided to make this happen, and we're going to do this. Everything that he mentioned to you about starting his own business, he had shared with me too. And so we knew that's what we were going to do, but we didn't quite know when. Yeah. And it was, I'm sure you remember the polar vortex.
Oh, I remember. Okay. I was digging cars out of the snow.
So we just, we'd been talking about it, and we were just very, very cold one day in the polar vortex.
Yeah.
And we were just kind of like, what are we waiting for?
Yeah.
Let's
another polar vortex?
No, I might die if there's another
Let's do that
polar
before
vortex.
This.
So, we've been discussing it for a while, and it just seemed like, why not? Why not just do this now? And then the next day we started planning.
Yeah, because I was curious about that. What do you think changed in your mind that was like, let's just do this now? Because there's a lot of people that have ideas and they sort of like mill around with them and like, yeah, maybe someday. But like, what's it like the change in mindset that was like, okay, we got to do this for real?
I don't think there was, one,
defining
firework moment that really made it happen. I think it was a number of things. I think Charlie mentioned his background and experience, and by that time, he had quite a bit of experience in all aspects of watching things get off the ground, not just the production and the brewing side of things, but the admin, the licensing, the dealing with cities, the how to get people in the door, all those kinds
There's
of
so
things.
much that goes into it.
Yeah, that I think that we both kind of felt like, okay, I think that we are ready to graduate in a way. We're ready to do this.
Yeah.
And it takes an incredible amount of planning and preparation. So it's almost, you just have to kind of take that first step to know what all the other steps are going to be.
Right.
But I think we were moving back, we were getting married. Those are kind of big life events that we knew we wanted to start the business here.
Just put one on top of it. Just pile another big life event.
Just throw something else in the mix.
Yeah.
And I think by that time we felt ready.
Yeah. What do you think it is about like brewing and things like that keeps you interested? Like specifically, like I think it takes a certain person to like want to do this and not only want to, but start a business off of it. So like, what do you think it is specifically about it?
Definitely all the money.
All the cash I'm getting in endorsement deals.
Yeah. Just kidding.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. I think I've always had an appreciation for, hard work and learning how things are made and learning everything from, start to finish.
Yeah, because I was like interested in figuring out how to make wine, like just at my house, but I didn't ever go through with it. But I think it's something that's to do with like creating something like that's physical, that like you can, that you have ownership over and that you can use your hands, and it's something like textile about it.
Yeah,
and there's a process.
Yeah, and I think it's a very rewarding thing to put something that you've made in front of somebody, and
especially when you're good at it.
Yeah. And it helps.
It helps for sure.
They enjoy it. If they don't spit it out and send it back, it's pretty rewarding. But even the little things, I grew up building boxes. Like my mom has a container distribution company. So I grew up building boxes and packing cans and just doing that sort of manual labor and running shipping and receiving and I'm good at it, and I actually enjoy that kind of rhythmic work, and so I think it just kind of all came together between the creation aspect of actually making the product and just kind of having an appreciation for all the other little things that go into it.
Yeah.
I think can I add something to that?
Yeah.
Something I noticed about him when I first met him, because I had never met a brewer before.
Yeah.
I didn't even know what that title meant.
Yeah.
It was kind of concerning, to be honest, when I first heard it.
Does it not seem like stable or something?
I was like, is that even a job? Like,
it is, because I said it was.
Wait, yeah.
I'm a brewer.
What does that mean? What do you do? So you must just drink all day. What is that?
That is, yeah.
What does that mean? But then I got to know him, and I really got to understand and appreciate, first of all, how incredibly hard everybody in the craft alcohol industry works. It's really cool. Physically demanding. It's psychologically demanding. The hours are crazy. Just the amount of physical, really hard work, but also the science behind it, the incredibly intelligent process behind it.
Yeah.
And that was really interesting to learn too. But for him, something I noticed right away, it's just, if anything were ever, I noticed little things about him when I met him. Mm-hmm. If anything were ever broken or anything, he was just, it's like the whole world ended and I will sit here until this is fixed. This level of dedication and commitment to creating something or fixing something or completely understanding the way something worked from origin until end.
Right.
And I think that level of focus and commitment to the entire process of something, whether it was making pizza dough out of spent grain one day or he's excellent at many things, but like playing piano or he's like a classically trained.
Are you?
Piano player.
Really?
Yeah.
You should put a piano in here.
Other things
concerts.
I don't mean to wax poetically about
Please
you
go
right
on.
now, but I guess
Stop it.
I guess what I'm trying to explain is that I noticed all these things about him, all these unique talents that he had.
Yeah.
So he is essentially almost like a concert pianist, basically.
Yeah.
And then he spoke German nearly fluently and was an excellent golfer. All of these things require so much dedication and diligence to get to that level.
Definitely.
And I believe that people can practice and things like that, but if you don't have that inherent drive and dedication to see something through, then you're not going to get to that level.
Yeah.
You can be okay at something you can enjoy, and that's fine.
Yeah.
That, but
you got to find something that you really care about.
he has that almost like maniacal at times. Like I will get to the finish line and I will figure out how to do this. And I think that quality is essential in making cider.
Right. And owning a business too,
In owning a business.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, you have to be really focused on the end result and know that there are a number of steps and there's going to be hiccups and there might be something that breaks. And, I would love to say that I share that completely, but when something breaks, I really just want to call somebody to fix it. But Charlie's like, we don't have to call anybody. I'm going to take the whole thing apart. I'm going to replumb the entire place and I'm going to fix it. And I'm freaking out, but then he does.
Yeah.
He focuses and figures it out.
Yeah.
And if you don't have that follow through, you're not going to be successful.
I like to point out that she said a lot of really nice things and then called me a maniac.
Maniacal.
No, whatever. You know what I mean.
Yeah.
But it's sometimes
the compliments outweigh the maniacal,
sometimes you know what I mean by maniacal, I guess, is that he'll focus on something for hours and hours and hours, and I have to remind him.
You have to rein him in, I
have to remind him to eat food,
which is why you're good together.
And ask him when the last time he had water was.
Yeah. I'll drink when I'm thirsty.
I guess that's what I mean. But I do think that I can't remember the initial question, but I guess turning something in, like the love of creating something and turning something into a business. Like I believe that you have to have that type of focus and patience to be able to deal with all those speed bumps that come up because you're so focused on the end result.
Right. So I would never have known that you were a concert pianist,
I mean, I'm not.
He's not like playing.
He's not actually playing
in the
concerts
symphony or anything like that.
But
he's very, very talented.
Wow.
And you just have to have a level of dedication to reach that point.
Yeah. Wow. So could you just like rip off some German right now? Do you still have that skill or?
No, I mean, I can understand most of what people say. And after a week in Austria or Germany, like I could start then kind of being more conversational. But
was that because of brewing? And
no.
Germany has a brewing culture?
No, but I guess it probably all comes full circle. My parents lived in Germany for a few years. My dad was an accountant, and my mom
was this when you were still young, or
no? It was before my sister and I were born.
Oh, okay.
And so I've always had this connection with German culture. My dad speaks German, and so when you get to high school, you have to pick a language. It was German, and I took it through high school and through college. So,
oh wow,
after 6 or 8 years of German lessons.
But I did the same thing with French, and I can't.
I took Japanese, so I don't even. I'm not even sure why I did. Like honestly, I'm like, oh, that sounds fun.
My brothers took Japanese, and they really liked it.
I liked it. Yeah, it's a cool language to learn, and it's an interesting country for sure. But you only can use it in Japan. I'm like, I should have just learned Spanish, because I could use it so many other places. But well, oh well.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I mean, I think
To
we'd
each
all,
their own.
I was going to say, we probably would all be better off if we took Spanish. But that's part of the reason why, you don't use it, you lose it.
Right.
I think that's part of the reason why my German is so bad now is because you don't have the opportunity to practice.
Right. That's true. Every day.
And if you meet somebody who's German, they want to practice their English, so
right.
it's like
You're not helping me out here. Yeah. It's not like riding a bike in that regard, I don't think, where you can just 10 years later decide.
No.
Yeah. It's something you got to keep up.
Yeah.
But I was just thinking about our decision to make this a business.
Yeah.
And when I was describing him and his drive and those things I noticed previously before we decided to pull the trigger, that was a big factor. Like we carefully considered a lot of different things. Mm-hmm. And yes, I of course was marrying this person and trusted him and everything. But when it's a different when you're evaluating a business partner,
right? It's a different set of skills.
I really lucked out.
Right.
Somebody that's like, okay, well, I don't have to hire any consultants. He's my consultant.
Yeah.
He has the experience, he has the drive, he has the dedication, he clearly has the talent.
Yeah.
And that made the decision significantly easier.
Right. Yeah, because it is a different set of skills, and it's sort of like not at the same level, but there's people that you can live in a house with, and then there's people that you can be friends with. It's a different set of skills that make either one cohesive and go well. But yeah, you're lucky. You got the LeBron James of brewery and cidery stuff.
I mean, I wouldn't go that far.
The all-star.
I think I've reached my quota and nice things I can say about Charlie now.
Now the rest of it just go all downhill. You got to start saying all the negative stuff.
I'm like John Stockton or something. I'm good.
Still really good. He's a Hall of Famer,
all time.
I love John Stockton.
He is good. My brother went to Gonzaga, and his daughter went to Gonzaga. Actually, John Stockton. She was on the basketball team when he was there, which is interesting. But
I forgot to mention, my dad is an entrepreneur, and my mom also started a business as well on the side. She's a geneticist.
Yeah.
And my dad was involved in real estate and started an international importing business, and then had a leather store and Pike Place Market in Seattle. And
that's a diverse
a Renaissance
career.
man.
Yeah.
So he really helped as well. So like I said, I didn't know exactly which arena I wanted to have my own thing.
Yeah.
Until we kind of met and this organically developed.
Yeah.
But I remember my dad telling me at a really, really young age, encouraging me. I remember I was babysitting or something.
Yeah.
And he's like, all right, how do we make this a business?
Yeah.
How do we make, and he...
Babysitting LLC.
Well, I mean, kind of. And he was always putting those little ideas in my head. And he's like, but why can't you be the head of this whole thing? Let's look at how you can do this.
Yeah.
It was really interesting to learn that even at a young age, encouraging me and saying you can look at all these things that you enjoy.
Yeah.
And look at how you can create your life.
That is interesting.
And do this. And so it was always something that he instilled, and my mom as well, but that he instilled in us was just you can be the head of that whole company.
Right.
You can take this talent that you have or this interest that you have, and you can make it a business.
Right.
And that option was always on the table.
Yeah.
And so it just seemed like, why not? Why not? And we had the confidence to do it. We had seen him do it, so that was nice.
Yeah, and I mean that's interesting because there's not a lot of parents that talk to you like that. You know what I mean? Like when you grow up, you don't have a parent if you're working a job being like, oh yeah, you could create this into a career where you could, be the boss and blah, blah, blah. There's not a lot of that going on, so that's nice because then you grow up and you can be like, hey, I actually can't, this was instilled in a young age. Some people don't even think it's an option because they never had it taught to them that it is, until they're older. But so when you guys actually started this, I read that was the first cidery in Chicago since Prohibition, which is crazy. How is that even possible? Because when you guys started in 2014?
14. Mm-hmm.
And so that's almost, 94 years after Prohibition?
Something like that.
That's insane. How has there not have been another cidery here?
I don't know. We thought that was crazy too.
We didn't know.
Yeah, how did you figure that out?
When we were when we were researching licensing.
Oh,
yeah.
No one
and
ever.
then we were very excited.
Yeah, then we got to do it right now.
Yeah. So that's a great way that we kind of stick out. But we were researching. Yeah, we were researching it, and I was like, dude, there are literally no other cideries in Chicago. Like,
right.
This is a big opportunity. So.
We were like, we had no, honestly.
Fill it out, sign this
no
now.
idea. We had no idea.
Has there been a boom after that, though? Are there other cideries here now?
Yeah, there's one other. Well, there are a couple in the suburbs, and there's one other place that makes cider in the city of Chicago.
Yeah.
And they all do a great job. There's North Shore Cider.
Yeah. Eris. Brewery and Cider House, and a guy making Forward ciders.
Oh yeah, Forward. City. Yeah. And out in Naperville, there's one, Two Fools. So
so there's a lot in the surrounding areas, and there were people that were making cider in Illinois,
right?
In the larger Illinois community before we started, but nothing in the city limits of Chicago.
Yeah, and is there sort of like, because in the craft brewer, I talked to a lot of craft brewers, and there's sort of like a bubble eventually, of like where there's going to be like so many. Is that happening with cider as well, or is that
I don't know,
slower growth industry?
I don't think it's necessarily a slower growth industry, but
it's just more niche or something?
Yeah, I just don't think there are as many people that drink cider as beer. I mean...
Yeah.
Yet.
Yeah, your guys' is really good. I had it last night. We had it last night. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's just a fact of the matter that, of everybody that drinks alcohol in this, in this country,
right,
less than 1% of those people are choosing to drink cider.
Is that true?
On a regular basis. Yeah.
Wow.
And so we oftentimes, because of the way our product is presented or the way it looks or whatever, we're compared directly to beer, but you just can't do that.
Which is weird.
I wish I could just make an IPA and put it on and tap at every restaurant in Chicago, but it's just completely different.
Yeah. I think it's changing though. I think people are seeking out cider and becoming cider fans, and I actually haven't read the latest Nielsen data from last year.
We missed CiderCon because
I'm 8 months pregnant, so there's a thing called CiderCon every year, which is a real thing, and it's very cool. And it's, don't think like Comic-Con. It's different.
I already was thinking about that, just based on the con. Yeah.
But it's a multiple day seminar with a lot of information about the industry. I could tell you about other things about it, but one of the most important things is there's a seminar about Nielsen data about the trends and craft cider growth, and craft cider is growing. Major label brand cider, I believe, last year was pretty stagnant.
Yeah.
But the smaller brands are growing, regional brands are growing. Chicago specifically is growing. People the drinkers are becoming adventurous and curious and interested in other things. So I find that data very optimistic. And like I said, I haven't reviewed the most recent last year's data yet, because we didn't go out to California this year. I'm optimistic that it's changing. Will it ever be equal to beer? I don't know, but I'm not necessarily worried about that.
Yeah,
I just want
it's interesting though,
to try it.
Because I studied abroad in Ireland, and cider was like a big thing. Like it was rival, I would say, with the major beer brewers over there. Like there was like huge manufacturers, and they were all over the place. Like Ballmer's, which is, I don't know what it's called here, but it was huge.
Magners.
Yeah, Magners here.
That was the first cider I ever drank.
Oh, really?
Ballmer's.
Yeah. It's different over there than it is here. I feel like it tastes different, at least. But
I thought it was delicious.
It was good. I had it all the time because I didn't really like beer. I went to Ireland, and the first thing I had was Guinness, and I almost threw up. It's like a milkshake, basically, of beer. And if you don't like beer, then it's a nightmare.
Yeah.
I think that in Ireland or in the UK, the cider market represents somewhere closer to like between 10 and 15% by volume of the industry. In the United States, like I said, it's right around 1%. So
did that make you guys not want to get into it at the initial stage? Like, were you nervous at all, like about the 1%?
No, and to be honest, I didn't even know that stat at the time, and I think if I would have known it, it wouldn't have worried me.
Yeah. I mean, because 1% of like over 300 million people is still a good amount of people, I would say. I'd say it's a good amount. Yeah. So when you guys started, were you brewing, like making the same stuff, like the semi-dry and dry cider?
So that's a good question. For the basically first 2 years of our business, we only made one style of cider, and we only sold it in half barrels.
Okay.
So just on draft and one type of cider.
Okay.
And then from there, once we moved into this building, then we started doing different styles, and then we started bottling as well. What's
the difference between dry and semi-dry?
Semi-dry is just slightly sweeter.
Okay.
Our dry has no sugar at all. It's just fermented apples.
Okay.
And then the semi-dry it's just the dry to sweet scale.
Okay.
So it's just slightly sweeter.
Gotcha. So there's not like a huge difference in like the production of it? No.
So we just, everything kind of starts as our dry, and then we can then add ingredients to our dry to make it into the different things that we have. So
is semi-dry more popular than dry? Is at least what you've noticed?
It just kind of depends. I would say it's probably more widely distributed, and that was the flavor we had out first.
Okay.
When we have both flavors at a beer fest or a tasting, it's, kind of 50-50. It just depends on your palate and how you perceive dry and sweet. But I would say probably more widely distributed.
Yeah. We sell more semi-dry than any of our other ciders.
Is that more of like the regular cider? Like, I guess if someone was going to make cider, that's probably what they would go
classic,
to. Right.
Yeah. There's no additional fruit or spices or herbs or anything.
It's a good, I guess I always say gateway cider because it's really balanced. It's not too dry, but if you like dry things, it's not going to upset you. And then
I didn't feel upset when I drank.
The same thing.
Do you have the semi-dry?
Yeah.
It's
the same thing with its sweetness. It has this sweetness that kind of cuts the acidity. And so if you do like sweet things, it's can be right up your alley.
And nothing we make is too sweet. And I think people are surprised by that. Yeah. And pleasantly surprised by that.
Oh yeah.
And appreciate that it's not too sugary.
I agree, because when I had the same sort of background as you. When I originally started drinking cider, it was like, oh my God, like is this like basically like a candy bar sweetness in like a drink form. It's like way too much. It makes you do like that, It's hard to drink and your teeth feel weird afterwards. You know what I mean? Yeah. But when I drank that, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is not like that at all.
Yeah.
It's easy to drink, but it's not overly sweet.
That's been something that the education piece has been difficult, but very important for the whole life of our business, because people have, a certain idea in their head of what it's going to be like. Yeah. Because when you go, it's changing a little bit now, but it's pretty similar. You go up to order at the bar, say, and you don't just say, hey, I'll have a beer. The bartender will be like, well, which beer?
We got a lot of them. Yeah.
But then you're like, I'll have the cider. And it's just like one
that's
one
very
option.
True.
And
very true.
There's so many, just like anything, there's so many different choices. Every single beer isn't like Guinness.
Exactly.
There are a huge range of styles and flavors, and it's really, I don't find it exhausting at all. Even people come into the tap room and they're like, whoa, this is not what I was expecting.
Right.
It's way less sweet than I thought it was going to be. And that makes me happy.
Right.
So it's just a challenge to
get people to that point,
And I'm just aggressive at beer fests and everything. I go around and give I can see, this has happened multiple times.
Yeah.
But I'll be, pouring cider at a beer fest and I'll see somebody talk to their friend and say, oh, I'm not a cider guy. I'm not a cider guy. And I'm just like, you. And so
I must drink this.
And so I get a sample and I don't expect it to be everyone's favorite thing. That's fine.
Course,
That's
yeah.
not my goal. And
Right.
I was weaving through the crowd, finding this person and just bringing them a sample. And I tell them, heard you say you're not a cider guy. This doesn't have to be your new favorite drink. I just want you to try it so you know mine is different.
Right. Yeah.
And they try it, and then they make funny comments like, oh, it's not that bad. I'm like, well, what did you expect? What did you did you think it was going to be awful?
No, but that's true.
What was your expectation? And usually it's that it's way too sweet.
Yeah.
And ours just isn't, so it's nice to at least let them know there's a range.
Right, but that is true though, because I had a similar. I feel like when you start drinking beer and stuff, you're very aware that there are different styles, and there's like it's more of like a common knowledge sort of thing. But not a lot of people know that same thing goes with cider. You know, so if you get like burned by one once, you're just like, nah, I don't like any of them.
You write off the entire
industry. Yeah, which is nuts. There's a really good cider that I had recently called it's Two Towns, I think.
Oh yeah,
in Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We have an event coming up with them.
Oh yeah,
yeah, we like them a lot.
It was so good.
Which one was it?
I couldn't tell you. I
have
have a
really
picture of them on my phone because I made sure I wanted to remember it. But so with this recipe that you guys have, and since it is different, how long did it take to like sort of get to the point where you were happy with it? I'm curious. The one that you gave her as a gift, how far off was that from what you ended up making here?
It's pretty similar.
Yeah.
It's not the exact same because it was made on tiny equipment, and obviously it changes when you make it commercially, but it's pretty similar in terms of the sweetness level. And
do you still have that bottle that he gave you?
I don't. I probably should have kept it and put it in like a glass vault in here.
It all started here.
Yeah, no, I don't. I do have a picture.
Okay.
I remember thinking I should take a picture of this. So I have a picture of him with the bottle.
Yeah.
But that's about it.
Yeah. But yeah, did it take you long to whittle it down to where you wanted it to be?
I mean, we had a few iterations. I was fortunate at the brewery I worked at right before this. I was fortunate enough to be able to play around with different yeast strains and different, sweetness levels and get everything kind of dialed in while working there. So by the time we started this, I already had a pretty good idea of of what we wanted to do. Yeah. But yeah, I guess with all of that, I probably tried, 20 different things before we got to where we are.
Yeah. And even when we were taste testing in your parents' house, we were like, okay, a little too sweet. Okay, let's try that again and let's see. And then we got it.
You taste tested it in your parents' house? So did you did you brew it in your parents' house or?
Well, we made test batches there.
Okay.
Yeah, we were just doing little small. We never ran the business out of the house or anything like that. We were just experimenting and with different types of flavoring.
Yeah. Do you guys have you ever seen Friends, the show? I mean,
yes.
When they're doing like the cookie thing, when they're trying to figure out how, you know what I'm talking about? There's like one cookie left and they're trying to figure out how to make it. That's like what I imagine. In the house, there's like 40 different.
Exactly like that.
There's like 40 different ciders. So then my question is like, when you guys collaborate with like breweries and things like that, what is that collaboration process like coming from like a place of like doing cider and then collaborating with the brewery? So
sure. So we have done quite a few collaborations, which we love. We are so fortunate to be in Chicago. There's such a cool craft alcohol scene and incredible people that work in the industry. So we've done a variety of different things, but for example, with Patty Long's, which was the first place we were ever on tap. Yeah. We did and their sister bar, Kaiser Tiger, we did a blueberry cider. So what that entailed is, the recipe we kind of came up with together. The owner, Pat Berger, had an idea for a blueberry cider, and he came over and we threw a bunch of blueberries from the farmer's market in the tank and saw what happened. So that meant that they came over, they helped in the process.
Right.
Other times we've done barrel aging, like with Old Irving. You can talk about that a little bit if you want.
Oh yeah, our friends from Old Irving gave us a barrel, and we filled it up. Actually, what we did originally was to tie in our our two businesses, they gave us some hops, and we dry hopped one of our ciders. So we did a hop cider.
Yeah, we did
Oh,
that.
wow. How does that taste?
Pretty good.
Yeah.
We actually have a test batch going right now that I can give you a sample of before you leave. But it works.
Wow.
For some reason, it works, depending on what hops you use.
Oh, sure.
But it turned out really nicely. And then they ended up giving us one of their barrels. It was a barrel-aged gin barrel.
Okay.
So we filled that barrel up with the hop cider, and it, so that's
Double
another kind of
collab.
way that we've collaborated with people, and then we've had other things like the Jenny's ice cream used our hard cider in
that was fun.
one of their sorbets. We had an event last year with Guinness where we did black and we made the Chicago Black Velveteen.
Oh.
So basically a black and tan with cider. And yeah. So
That's
and then
really cool.
just events.
That's our wall of fame over there.
Yeah,
It's
I
reminding
see that.
us of these fun things that we've done.
Yeah, that's really cool.
But I guess how it comes about is that somebody just reaches out and asks us, "Ooh, it's not with a brewery, but I think the most recent coolest thing that has happened to us, the band Wilco?"
Yeah, I do. Yep.
Okay. Well, Charlie decided to email their contact us on their website late
It's a good way. Yeah.
late at night.
Nothing to lose.
They have a great song called "Muzzle of Bees," which you should listen to if you're not familiar.
I don't know that one.
And it's
There you go.
And so he just asked them told them the idea for a recipe we had using some of the honey from our beehives, which I don't know if you know we have beehives.
I did know. Yeah.
And elderflower, and were requesting to use the name of their song for the cider, and I didn't know if they would respond, and if I thought they always seemed like really cool guys.
They did,
but
yeah.
I just don't. I thought maybe they'd be like, "Well, sorry, we can't really attach our name to anyone, but good luck." I thought they'd be nice, but they came back with the most incredible response. Not only did they say yes, they said, "Hey, here's Bridget Pearson. She likes bees, and she's does design for us. She'll help you design the label." And we were like, "What?
Dang.
This is the coolest thing ever."
That is so cool.
And so they designed the label, and you
Yeah,
can
there
see
it
the
is.
label up
Wilco
there.
approved.
It's Wilco approved. It has honey and elderflower, and the bees. It's the Chicago skyline, and then the bees from our logo.
Yeah.
And that was the coolest collaboration.
That is so
ever.
cool. Yeah. I mean, the contact us, you have nothing to lose, you might as well try. Yeah. But why did you, I guess because of the song, but because weren't they in Parks and Rec? There was the lead singer, I think, of Wilco was also in Parks and Rec.
Oh, was he?
Tweety.
Yeah.
He's friends with. I'm not sure. I didn't see that episode, although I do love that show.
Yeah.
And to be fair, I guess collaboration isn't a fair. We didn't make it with them.
Yeah.
They just
They
incredibly graciously let us use the name of their song.
Yeah.
So there's a number of ways, whether it's an ice cream company or a brewery or barrel aging or a local band that we've been able to work with others while doing this, and it's really cool.
Yeah. And I mean, that's just is that probably, what's the coolest thing that you think has happened since you started? That's got to be up there for sure, but.
That's up there. I mean, there's so many things.
Cover of the Red Eye was pretty cool.
That was,
there used to be
that was
a local rag called the Red Eye in Chicago, and it was just, they had these, newspaper booths all over the city. You grab a Red Eye,
it was free every day, right?
Yeah, every day.
Wow.
Every day, 60,000 people read this read this newspaper. And we had these people from a Tribune come out and interview us, and didn't think anything of it. And then a few days later, a couple weeks later, whatever.
No, do you remember? Okay,
yeah, she sent Katie a message, and she was like, "I think you're gonna like."
It was this cryptic,
your placement.
this cryptic message. So we were thrilled that anyone even wanted to talk to us, because we hadn't even had our release party yet.
Yeah.
And this was before our release party, before our first batches even came out. It was in early fall or late 2014, the fall of 2014. They came and took some photos and interviewed us and took video. And so I thought, cool, this is going to be on their online. And then she sent me a link to it. And I was thrilled with that. It was just this online link that I could share on our social media and share with family and friends. And we just felt on top of the world. It was like our first interview, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
And the next day, the red eye came out, and I thought, I kind of flipped through it and or the day after she sent the link or so. Yeah. I flipped through and thought, okay, maybe we'll be, in the back or something. Yeah. And I didn't see it anywhere. Yeah. And I was like, oh, that's fine. It's just for online. That's great. Yeah. And then she emailed me and said, hey, it's going to be in print tomorrow. I think you're going to like the placement of it. I was like, cool. So at the time, like I said, I was doing nursing part-time on the side. And I was driving to work with my coworker, and I saw a guy cross the street in front of us holding one, and I was like, "That's my face. that guy's holding my face right there." Yeah. And so I was like, "Stop the car!" And then she pulled over. She's like, "Do you know him?" I was like, "Just stop the car." So I had a red eye. And there was a red eye stand. Yeah. And I went and I was like, oh my God. And then I just remember, I say this a lot, but even though it's 2020 and we can, tweet to space and all these things, there's still something that is so classic and cool about being in print.
Yeah, definitely.
I was walking by the L station, and people, I saw people's faces reading it, and I was just like, I would love to say that I totally played it cool and walked by, but I was like, that's me, that's my husband.
You just put your face
that's our business. Yeah, I did. I told these people. Yeah. I was like, that's me, that's our business. Yeah. Read it. I was like being the red eye spokesperson, handing these things out to people, and I took a big stack to send to my family and friends, and Charlie's like, well, we actually want other people to read that, so you should leave some.
Take them all.
You should leave some of those there.
Do you have that up
yeah,
there?
it's framed.
Oh yeah, right there.
Yeah, it was just so cool. There's been so many cool things that have happened. Another dadism. I know I've talked about how helpful my parents have been, but he always said, you will never survive in running a small business if you don't celebrate the small wins. Yeah. And and I think that can be taken to any of life, I guess. But it's true, because there are so many peaks and valleys running a business, and it's just like, the highs are higher, but the lows are lower.
Yeah, sure.
And when you have really great little things happen, you just have to really make them a big deal. Yeah, and celebrate them, because that can help sustain you through some of the harder times.
Well, that's like when you guys saw your cider out in the world for the first time. Was that a feeling of like that too? Like
very cool.
Going to a bar and be like, we make that.
Lots of emotions and lots of terror. Yeah. Because you're just like, okay,
you're just watching someone
who's
see if
ordering
they're getting
it. Well, do they love it? Should I go talk to them right now? What's going on?
On a 1 to 10 scale, so how do you like what you're drinking right now?
I always just
you had seen your stuff on menus before.
Yeah, but this is, it's
different.
Yeah. I don't care what anyone says. Like, I've made beer and distributed it and had people drink it at the bar I worked at, but when you're really putting yourself out there and it just is a whole new level of stress and anxiety. Yeah. And I'm the type of person that if I see somebody drinking it, I'm not gonna say anything.
He wants to just go in the corner and just close his eyes and hope that they like it. And I go talk to everyone in the entire establishment that is drinking it or not drinking it and tell them about it. Right. And that's his nightmare. So that's kind of how we we work
You're
together
like a spokesperson,
well. Yeah, in the beginning, that's what our jobs were. He was, production, because that's his expertise. Yeah. I would assist where I could, but that was clearly not my background or my skill set. Yeah. But I would do sales. I would go door to door. I would talk to people about it. I would go make relationships with bartenders and bar owners and be the one that was talking to people about it.
Yeah.
Essentially shouting it from the rooftops and walking up to strangers.
You need to be like that,
giving them
though.
little Dixie cups of samples of things. And
Yeah.
So.
Did anyone ever look at you like, I don't want to drink that? Like if you came over to them with a Dixie cup.
I had a little like plastic.
Okay, sure.
It was less sketchy than a Dixie cup.
Like you're on just these streets
in an alley or somewhere. I was in
in
a licensed establishment,
right.
providing my alcohol samples legally. People were very, very nice to me. I don't know if I'm just like not intimidating or something, but I didn't encounter a lot of people being mean. People might politely say no thank you, but then I would gently encourage them to try it anyway.
Okay, sure.
And then they would.
Yeah.
People were very nice. It's just kind of like a little, I felt like they were looking at me like a little kid with a lemonade stand. It was like, hi, my husband and I make this, try it. And people were just kind and tried it and liked it and have supported us for almost 6 years now. So
yeah. So where can people find out more about your cider, and can they get it? Can they buy it like online or something and get it shipped to them as well, or is that another thing?
It is a thing, but not for us at this point. They can get it a number of places. So if they're in the city of Chicago, a number of retail outlets and bars and restaurants have it.
Yeah.
Whole Foods, Binny's, Jewel, your local mom and pop liquor store, bottles and cans, Beer Miscuous. There's a ton of different places you can get it. And like I said, bars and restaurants as well. You can find a lot of information on our website. When in doubt, just email us or contact any of the social medias. I check all of them. Yeah. And if you tell us what neighborhood you're in, we can point you in the right direction. You can also, we have 6 ciders on draft here, 8 ciders available because we also do a rhubarb and our special collaboration Muzzle of Bees here. Yeah. But we sell carry out here. So you can do 6 packs of the dry, semi-dry or blossom, and you can get a growler of anything that's on tap, and that includes specialties here because we do special ciders here that you can't get anywhere else.
Oh, okay. And what's your website?
www.rightbeecider.com.
And your social media, is that all Right Bee Cider?
At Right Bee Cider.
Okay.
Oh, I'm missing a very important detail. It sounds like right beside her.
Yes, it does.
I forgot to mention that.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Which is like
is about the story, the original. Right. If we go back to the original romantic gift story, that's where the name came from. Right Bee Cider.
Right beside her.
Right beside her, just like Charlie's right beside me right now.
Which is like what you can't stop hearing it once you know.
Yeah.
But if you just look at it and it just says Right Bee Cider, you wouldn't think of that.
And there's
very clever.
There's kind of like a double meaning too, because that's where the name came from. That is the origin of the name. But now we have 11 beehives on the roof, and we work with the hive
on
supply.
This roof?
In the roof of the warehouse, not directly above us, where we're sitting, but so that incorporates the bee as well.
Yeah. That's cool, though. You have bees here. Bees are important. You need bees.
Bees are very important.
Yeah, without bees, we wouldn't have apples, probably.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. There's a guy in Wisconsin who installs beehives in people's backyards, and then he goes around and there. It's interesting with bees because honey from different locations tastes so different, which is obviously true based on like the flowers around and all that stuff. But you wouldn't think of that, You just think honey is honey, but it's not the case.
Yeah, even with us. Our honey from this year tastes different than our honey from last year. So.
Yeah. Well, that's really cool. So how many times do you go up to tend to the beehives?
We work with the Hive Supply, which is in North Lawndale. They set up the hives for us, and they come probably over the summer, like every 2 weeks. Okay. And I help them, which I always say is the equivalent of holding a flashlight while your dad works on something. That sort of thing.
Yeah. It's really helpful.
Yeah. Someone's got to do it,
Someone's got to do it, yeah. But yeah, so every couple of weeks we go up and check on them.
Well, I had to film a video to do with this beehive guy, and it's kind of scary being around bees that close. He was handling them barehanded.
So do our guys.
Yeah,
so did he. At certain points in the process. Nervous. Yeah, and they use if they get stung as kind of a learning experience.
Yeah.
they're just so calm, and it makes you calm.
Yeah.
I got a little too brave last time.
Yeah.
I wasn't wearing a veil or anything. I was wearing a t-shirt.
Neither was he.
And yeah, we were taking the frames out and shaking the bees off.
Yeah.
And you know, there weren't any problems. But after about an hour and a half, it started to get really hot out.
Yeah,
and they started to get like irritable.
Yeah, sure.
And then I got
Don't
zapped
mind being
in
around
the
irritable bees.
No, definitely not.
No, that's not. Yeah, I got zapped in. Let's see. I got zapped in the neck, and I was like, "Ow!"
Yeah.
I do not like this. I just want it to stop.
Yeah.
And then I got zapped again on the finger, and our beekeeper friend was like, "You better take your ring off
because it's gonna swell."
It'll swallow
Yeah.
them." And then they put their veils on, and I was like, I'm out of here. I'm not doing this anymore. I got stung
This is
twice.
above my pay grade.
Yeah.
You guys handle this.
Yeah.
I've never been stung by a bee in my life.
I have. Yeah, it's
And
not fun.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to it.
But they said he said that if you have a calm queen, the hive is usually calm. You know, like they reflect what the queen does, the
That
queen
makes
bee.
sense.
So he was like, yeah, the queen's very calm. And I was like trying to hold the camera. I'm like, doesn't seem like it, like just whizzing by your head. It's just, it's.
You just can't freak out.
I know, but you just
It's
want
hard
to.
not to freak out. But that's why we're lucky to work with the Hive Supply, because while we've learned an incredible amount about bees, we don't call ourselves beekeepers or anything. So we're lucky that we have great beekeepers.
Yeah. Well, say your website one more time, where people in your social media.
Sure. So on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, it's at Right Bee Cider. You can remember it sounds like right beside her.
Yeah.
And the website is www.rightbeecider.com. Feel free to reach out to any social media channel or website with any question.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much for taking the time. I appreciate it. It was awesome talking
Thank
to you.
you.
Yeah. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.